All right, welcome back. It's now 20 minutes past 7 a.m. Good morning. Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. Of course, this is the time that we get into the political arena, and let's fight it all together. Are you ready? My name is Victor Lo. Karibu to the program. So on set, I have got His Excellency Dr. Ali Mali Mahmoud, who is the Deputy Governor of the beautiful county of Mandera. Join me on set, Dr. Good morning.
Good morning, Victor.
And welcome to Good Morning Kenya once again.
Thank you very much.
Karibu sana. And the gentleman who is taking care of us here in the Central Business District, His Excellency Njoroge Mushiri, Deputy Governor of the county of this city, Nairobi. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Yes.
Happy to be here.
Karibu sana. After a long, long time.
Yes, yes. You know.
What have you been up to, gentlemen?
You gave us work to do, so we went to do the work. We've been doing it, and I think now is a good point to be able to tell you part of what we have achieved.
Yes.
And I think you kept us very busy. So we've been happy that we are able to deliver for the citizens of Nairobi. We have done many things to help, and the first thing that I would probably say is that, for example, we have the flagship Dish in the County program, which has been a phenomenal success, and which has helped us feed over 300,000 children daily with a hot meal, and that gives them assurance that every day they'll be able to get at least one decent meal. So many things that have been going on.
A lot is happening in the county.
Yes, very many things.
You will tell us more about that later on.
Yes.
Mandera is also a very beautiful place. Why would somebody leave, not go to any other county, but visit Mandera today?
Well, that is a very good question. And, you know, after the devolution, before the devolution, Mandera and northern Kenya was considered a remote part of Kenya. We used to say when we were living there, we're going to the other Kenya. I think now the center of action has been tipped in the sense that northern Kenya, and particularly Mandera, which is a triangle where, you know, we have two countries on both our sides. A lot is happening, a lot in terms of business and investments, a lot in terms of what the government is doing. So there is a whole, too many reasons why now the economy of this country may probably consider focusing there, so that we have a very good opportunity of growing our economy. Yes. And also with the visit of the president recently, that clearly signals something about Mandera itself in terms of the you know, raft of reforms in extra vetting and the inclusivity and all the things that the president has just talked about. Yeah. Yes.
Great. More we'll be asking as we continue the program. But then, gentlemen, let's start where we should. A lot happened over the past weekend, and we are all here talking about that unity kind of agreement between the president and ODM leader Raila Odinga. Let me start with you, Dr. Njoroge, His Excellency Njoroge. Let me ask you, what do you make of that agreement that caught many people unawares? A majority of people were thinking that it was going to happen the next 1 week or the next 2 weeks, but here we were. From nowhere, everything happened right outside your office, and things were being signed. Were you there in the first place?
Yes, we were all there.
All right.
And I think it's a very good step that the president made, because what we need in this country is stability to be able to deliver on development. Yes. And when we have what we had seen in the past, a continuation of being like in campaign mode in all the time, I think it was time to bring together all the key players and ensure that we can stabilize the political environment and focus on development. And this is what the president has done with the prime minister. And I think that's a very good step forward, and it's going to help us achieve the commitments that we made to the population when we went for elections. Yes.
What do you make of what happened, Dr.
Well, I think I echo similar statements in the sense that we have started with a very polarized period immediately after the elections. And you remember, because of that, we had, there was the constitution of the NATCO, you know, the National Dialogue Committee, to resolve some of the sticking issues. And I think the MOU yesterday was a product of that committee. Because now, after 2 years and a half, we need to work. We need to put these differences aside, and I think give the country proper direction so that we are able to deliver as a government, both at the national level and at the county level. So really pulling Kenyans together so that we have some sort of unity is really important at this point. And I actually congratulate the President for really taking that step forward, as well as the Right Honorable Raila Odinga for really coming along so that we have a country that we can really focus on in terms of its politics and in terms of its economy. Yes.
But when you saw those two gentlemen, not any other member of the Azimio coalition was present. Largely, it was ODM versus UD affair. Even during the presentation, you'd see the miniature flag of UD on this side, and then on the other side was ODM. What signals that?
That's actually a very interesting observation that many of us have made. If you go back to the NATCO report, it was Azimio, when the formation of the committee, it was Azimio and Kenya Kwanza affair.
Yes.
Of course, a lot of things happened after the committee report has been submitted, including the bolting out or the impeachment of the deputy president and bolting out of a number of Azimio members along with the deputy president. So for us to reach the logical conclusion where we would have had both Azimio and Kenya Kwanza signing this together as an MOU, it was not ripe. It didn't look like it would work. So the only logical thing for the president was to really invite Raila Odinga as the leader of the Azimio himself, and also the party leader of ODM. And I think on his side, although a number of parties that were with Azimio bolted out, on the side of Kenya Kwanza, we still have largely the coalition together, Kenya Kwanza. So for me, it was more like a representation of Kenya Kwanza signing an agreement with ODM.
But still, DG, we would have expected other Azimio members to be there and Kenya Kwanza members. Look at it this way. A majority of Kenya Kwanza legislators were there, starting with the majority leader and so many of them. But on the other side of Azimio, none of them was present. It was ODM affair.
I think it was clarified quite clearly that this was an MOU between UDA and ODM. That was the clarification. And I would believe that is because in the past, just preceding to this, a lot of the other parties within Azimio, within Kenya Kwanza had, in a different way, tried to chart their own courses. So I think it was important to pick. And of course, as you know, Victor, these are the biggest parties in those coalitions. And so when they come together, they create a very robust team that is able to deliver. And you can see what has been happening, even with some of the members of the ODM that have been put in government. They were all ODM people. They're not in any of the other parties. So I think the continuation of that thinking and plan is what led to the decision that we should have these two parties signing an MOU, which they signed, and which is now going to be the basis of the next steps that the President and the Honorable Raila Odinga are going to take as we form the next series of government appointments. And I'm sure we will see delivery, because that is what we want. I was listening to the Minister for Finance, the CS for Finance the other day, and he's got a very clear understanding of what we need to do to be able to get our economy back on track. And therefore, we can already see value and benefit in this. And therefore, we had to anchor it, I believe. It had to be anchored in a political situation, which is this MOU. Because remember, those are the earlier appointments. There was no MOU of this kind. When this now comes through, it allows for further engagements to be able to deliver for the people of Kenya.
Yeah. I mean, it was completely unprecedented. So what really happens in this scenario? Because now, you can all answer this. Then it means that Kenyans will have to work out something to accommodate Raila Odinga. But before we get into that position, was it necessary, Daktari, to have ODM and Kenya Kwanza sign an agreement? What do you really think formed this kind of agreement? That would have stopped.
Yes.
Without it, then Kenya Kwanza would have not performed until 2027.
Correct. I think we have to look at this in a much broader way. including the support that His Excellency the President gave to the Honorable Raila Odinga during the AUC election in his bid for the chairmanship. Beginning from the NATCO, going onwards, formation of the broad-based government, the support that His Excellency Raila Odinga got from Kenyans largely, and of course led by the President, then coming back, forming this coalition of, or sort of an MOU. That really points in a direction that that the two gentlemen, our President and the Right Honorable Odinga, are all coming together. But also, you cannot continue debating this issue without looking at the history of this country. If you go back to the times of President Moi and Raila Odinga, when there was an issue between Raila and Moi, and then they ended up coming together. KANU came. Raila joined KANU, and then they disbanded, or really joined KANU with his National Democratic Party, where Raila became, the Secretary General of KANU.
Yes, that was new KANU.
Yes, right. And the new KANU. And then in the middle, somehow, there was a fallout between the two of them. Come forward in 2002, when Raila said Kibaki Tosha, and Moi decided to go with Uhuru. At least what that did was that it has really placed Uhuru at a pedestal where we'll have a very good future opportunity. Then you come forward in 2007, the post-election violence, where now His Excellency the Right Honorable Raila Odinga also benefited by becoming the President, despite the challenges that we have had. The Prime Minister. The Prime Minister, right. Despite the challenges that we have had in terms of the violence that this country has experienced. And then come forward again, come to Uhuru's time, there was the famous handshake, which a lot of Kenyans did not really know what that contained. But what we have known is that in the end, it ended up being that Uhuru ended up becoming the leader of Azimio and the coalition of Raila Odinga. Yes. And then today, it has brought us all the way to today, where we have now, I don't know whether you call it handshake, but an MOU of sorts. And I think largely what that shows, it says so much about Raila Odinga himself and the way he plays his politics. Because in all these 25 years, in all these 3 terms, the common denominator was Raila Amolo Odinga. And at one time, he's one of the most prominent candidates in the elections. 1 or 2 years down the road, he's again in government. Yes. And really, it is something that needs quite a bit of political science research so that we understand this kind of politics. Because what we expect is once you lose the election and you are the formidable opposition, then you remain there. But somehow Raila every time finds his way into government. And then towards the end, where election is approaching, somehow there is fallout. The thing that I'm looking forward to is in this MOU, quite honestly, is to see what will come of this before the elections. Yes. Is it going to be the same tradition where you have, coming together and then falling out? Is it a situation where Raila will now be part of the government towards closer to the elections? Then at the end he finds that, well, this is the best opportunity for me to be the president.
You can remember that handshake.
Yes.
Again, it came unannounced that nobody saw it coming.
Yes, absolutely. So
nobody saw it. No, it was abrupt, the same way this happened on Friday.
Yes, it was very, very quick. So is it a situation where now coming, 1 year from the elections, Raila now will form his own coalition? Again, we cannot rule out the fact that there is a third factor of the Central Kenya and the Kalonzo team now forming a new formation, and that's now a third leg. How will all these things play together? Is it that when we get closer to the elections and maybe Raila is not very happy with this MOU, that he may appeal to this third group from the Central Kenya and Kalonzo Musyoka?
Let's welcome Dr. Richard Busire, who is a lecturer of political science, our neighbor here across the fence, University of Nairobi. Dr. Karibu.
Thank you. Thank you.
It rained finally.
Blessings with some challenges.
Yes, it was expected.
Yeah.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Let's take a clip of that one with Raila Odinga and former President, the late Mwai Kibaki, Let's take a look at that. And of course, just going back the history and trying to understand how this actually plays out. Because when you look at what happened on Friday, Dr. now that you are here now, Dr. has also talked about someone should take a keen eye or political science and just study the brains of how Raila Odinga operates, politically speaking. What do you really think runs at the back of his mind? What does he drink, sleep, walk, talk, and how does he operate?
Thank you, Victor. Perhaps we will never know, even if we try to study to understand really what goes on in the mind of Honorable Raila.
Yes.
What we can see is regularity or what we consistency in terms of his behavior. Raila has fought as an opposition politician, defending the public.
Sons of Africa, Sons and Daughters of Africa.
Very important.
Yes.
It was a very important occasion. As it was planned, perhaps people had more information what was likely to happen.
Yes.
And the handshake actually, we could say at that point, was for the sake of, for the country, for the sake of the country. I would say, for the sake of the country. And Raila got the accolades at that time. And even up to now, people remember that handshake. But the other handshakes before and the ones that have followed seem to question whether it is done in the national interest or it is for private purposes. For instance, the most current one, Kenya has a myriad problems, challenges, I would say, ranging from weak institutional governance, talk about corruption, talk about inefficiency of the civil service, talk about unemployment, talk about high cost of living, you know, healthcare issues of failure of the healthcare, you know, program that we have now, SHA, SHIF, whatever it is, that all this is not working, including university funding, that students are not able to go to university. Last year we had 78,000 students who did not join university but who were qualified to join university, which is a serious issue, that there is unequal access to university education as unprecedented, as it has never been before. So there are big issues. We are not talking about fighting.
If there are big issues and we have government in place, government of the days, so what role does Raila Odinga have to do with all this? And yet we have government structures, and you know, when you talk about weak institutional framework.
Good
and
question.
You know,
question. Then you ask yourself, you are uniting for what purpose?
That is a question.
You
yes.
are uniting against who? There is no threat. 2008. I remember we had it, the handshake, was it, not the handshake, but the Grand Coalition government. It was early 2008. What was at stake? It was nation at stake. What is at stake today? It's people's lives. We have abductions. We have forced disappearance. We have all these problems. Is Raila going to sort them out when he goes into government? I doubt. What we expected is that we need a vibrant, we should have remained a vibrant opposition to be able to keep the government in check. Our government is based on our democracy is based on having strong institutions, first and foremost, whether we're talking about the independent institutions,
yes.
EACC and others. But on the other hand, we should have a strong opposition that checks the government.
Okay.
So now Raila having joined the government, hasn't it weakened our democracy?
All right.
Has it weakened our
opposition? Let's hear from DG. Mushiri, what role is there anything more sweet that Raila Odinga is going to bring on the table? I mean, the same question, what are you bringing on the table in this thing, politically so?
I think I differ with that opinion because, you know, the president in his wisdom looked at how we need to deliver for the population, and that is his main focus.
Yes.
The focus on delivery. And if you want to deliver, you look at the resources that are necessary and able to help you with that process. And because, as you know, the divide between the ODM side and the UDA side, in terms of real political ideology, is not very big. And in terms of popularity, it's also fairly close. So I think it's a very, very good thing to bring people who largely think the same about development and delivery to work together. And they are Kenyans at the end of the day. So once we have gone through this process of elections and the fallout that comes through, I think it was the right thing for the president to bring on board ODM, to be able to work with them and deliver. And it's not about uniting against anything. It's not uniting against anything. It's actually uniting for Kenyans. It's uniting to deliver what we need to deliver for the people, instead of always being in a perpetual political
Kenyans united?
Yeah.
Are we not united?
We are united. We are united. That is why what I'm talking about united, they bring together the two parties. It is important that that is done so that we are able to get the best of each side. Because you agree with me, on the ODM side, they're very good people who can deliver, and you have seen them. On the UDA side, they are the same, and the president looked at that and brought them together so that we are able to drive forward. I'm very happy about that concept, because we cannot always be in a perpetual electioneering mode. Yes, because that doesn't allow us to deliver. And that is the issue that we need to address. And even as a country, we need to address that. We cannot, as soon as you had elections, we start again campaigning for the next set of elections.
Very well. Let me ask you, we went to an election, right? And Raila Odinga or Azimio had their candidate. Kenya Kwanza had their candidate. And Kenyans elected their best candidate, whom they thought was going to deliver for them. So what is it that Kenyans missed in Raila Odinga that is now prompting President William Ruto or the two gentlemen to come together to deliver, and yet Kenyans went on the ballot and picked the best?
I'll simply tell you something. You know, Maya Angelou told us that do your best until you know better, then do better. Now, in this case, we're doing our best. We are looking at what can we deliver as a Kenya Kwanza coalition, but we've realized we can add ingredients from the other side and do better, and that is what you're doing. So I think it's all consistent with actually serving the population. Like I keep saying, it is for purposes of delivery that we have this MOU. It is not for any other purpose, in my view. It is just purely for purposes of ensuring that we implement those very complex programs that we are implementing. You know, like for example, the Taifa Care. That program is a very, very critical program that everybody should embrace. But because it's a very significant change, and because there are people who have been used to it in certain ways, the first thing to do is to resist change. And I've been involved in a lot of change management programs. And when you find that you have a huge change, the first thing that you find is resistance from people who are comfortable with status quo. So you have to deal with taking those people out of their comfort zone. You have to do a lot of communication. You have to make sure that they understand the process. You have to define the processes well. You have to make sure that every single person understands them in simple terms, and then now you can implement that. And that is what
I would wish to understand. This is so theoretical. Why can't we be practical? What are the problems facing public service delivery in our country? It is not political. The problems, okay, politics is playing a part, because politicians are actually in control or try to be fully in control even of the civil service. Look at even the audit reports we're getting. The Auditor General gives a report about the chief thing, the SHA. Was it not there? It was.
Yes, it was there last week.
The Director of Budget does the same thing. We see there is a problem that needs to be solved. There is corruption inside our institutions. How does Raila's coming to government or ODM coming to government really help with that? I wish, let me just finish this point.
Okay.
I wish that we really focus. If we really love our country, let us speak the truth. These things are not working because some people are resisting within SHA. There is a fundamental problem. I'm not a medic, but I can see it. Even from the way the minister speaks, I can see there is a fundamental problem in the SHA thing. And people are suffering. Those are some of the issues. The Gen Zs came out last year.
Yes.
But what happens? What follows? Brutality and abductions and all this. Kenyans are mourning for their children. They don't know whether they're dead or they're alive. These are real issues that should be solved. How we staff the civil service. Let me go to the civil service. Who runs the civil service?
Okay.
It's the politicians and people who are least endowed with knowledge to run the civil service who are running the civil service.
A right of reply from the fellow Daktari.
I think the professor has valid points.
Yes.
I agree with him that ideally what we need is strong institutions. Okay? we need a vibrant opposition. There is no doubt about that. But the question is that, and actually that's what NADCO is talking about, institutions. We're talking about anti-corruption, we're talking about judiciary, we're talking about, gender, one-third gender rule. We're talking about all these institutional issues, and that's what this MOU seems to be addressing at this point in time. And it appears that if we do not have strong institutions as we should, and when we do have, for example, a vibrant opposition, strong opposition, quote unquote, and that is subject to interpretation because the version of vibrant opposition in countries like ours and that one of developed countries is slightly different. When we have a vibrant opposition, it is something that is very close to violence, fighting, street demonstrations. That is not the kind of opposition that should keep this country in checks and balance. And for me, we are not there yet. So for us to be able to strengthen the institutions, as opposed to opinion forwarded by the good professor, is really to bring together basically these two leadership. Quote unquote, the opposition leader, Raila Odinga, and the president, so that we can talk out these sticking issues, including how to strengthen our institutions. I have no doubt we have a lot of problems in this country, which includes, the healthcare problems, the Shah and the Sheikh. We have the corruption issues. We have, of course, our Gen Zs dissenting and resenting in the streets. All these things can really be addressed by doing something like this, so that the first step was NADCO itself, and then to sit down and have a working MOU so that we can sort out these issues one at a time. And we have 10 very important points that are really critical and very important for Kenyans. And if addressed, I believe that this country can move forward, both politically and economically.
Talk of the 10 points, DG.
Yes.
And someone would say that some of the 10 points, actually all the 10 points, are crafted by ODM. Let me start. There is that issue of inclusivity in all spheres of public life. That is the second agenda, inclusivity.
Yes.
Then now, let's come to the addition. The leaders also agreed to protect and strengthen devolution. Whose voice is that? Well, Raila has been fighting for devolution
first of all,
for far too long.
Let's keep this correct.
Yes.
This has not been drafted by ODM and UDA. This is an NADCO draft. This is a NADCO report.
So in a nutshell,
what they are doing
NADCO
is essentially an execution of the NADCO report.
Right.
But the execution now is, as opposed to Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, is now being done by two parties, the ODM and the UDA.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Yes.
But there is a problem, if I may chip in. There is a problem I see. When we talk about, like DG here said, we are not ready for that kind of position. How? 60-what years of independence? 60-what years of independence? What constitution do we have? What kind of constitution do we have? Kenya has leaped forward. We cannot wait like America or another country. We are a fast-paced country in very many respects. In our democracy, we have reached a point where we have peaceful elections. We have always had peaceful elections. After elections...
Really? We had peaceful elections?
But you can't have absolute... I mean, you cannot have... Like last election, what happened last election? People voted very well. When the results are announced, it's when you see problems.
Okay.
But the Kenyans voted peacefully. I was here, I voted.
Okay.
So... Kenya is a democracy.
But Professor,
Kenya is a democracy. Let me finish my point.
Is from voting
I know that.
To swearing.
We
never reach swearing.
You are talking to the bishop. You are preaching the bishop or the pope. Now, elections are process, yes, but we have done campaigns. Whatever mishaps we have had, we have gone to the polls peacefully, and we have elected a government, which is the President Ruto elected as president. Then, a parliament. The first thing was, how does Parliament now, how do we influence Parliament to be, amiable to the executive? I mean, this is a fact. And now, as we speak today, then we'll have a supermajority in Parliament, in that coalition, a coalition which has just come now.
Yes.
And of course, it could be legal, it is legal. But the question is, the Constitution vests the power and authority to check the government in Parliament. And once Parliament is not checking the executive, then the executive has it becomes superpower. It overpowers the other institutions. We have three sets of institutions, the judiciary, and we have seen consistent frustration of the judiciary. I mean, this is a fact. Let us speak about facts, not really our interest in politics.
You know,
we have seen these matters, Victor, being executed in the public, that we want the CJ to go, this one to go. Instead of, if we were interested in sorting out issues, we should get the judiciary. They talk about funding having been reduced. If we are interested in saving this country and governing efficiently, then that is the direction.
I want DG Mushiri to answer this. But if you're not fair to him, you know he's our boss.
Yes.
In this
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you might not find it so easy moving around. When you look at the fourth MOU, it listed promoting and protecting the livelihoods of young people. What does that bring in your head?
You know, that's a very important aspect of what government needs to do. And the reason why I say it's important, because this constitutes a large percentage of the population, both in Nairobi and also in the country. And therefore, any government in power must have a program and a focus on ensuring that the youth find work to do, not necessarily employment, but activities that allow them to earn a livelihood and allow them to be able to make a living for themselves and to see a future, to see a way forward for them. And I think that is what frustrates them at times, when they don't see that path clearly. And what we need to do, and this is exactly personally my reason for again saying that we need to support the MOU, is so that it allows everybody to have hands on deck to help understand how do we solve these challenges. And these challenges are not from today, they are not from yesterday, they have been there from ever since independence. They have been going on, and this is something we need to say. Fundamentally, what do we need to change so that when our youth leave school, when our youth leave colleges, they have gainful employment, they have gainful use of their time, they are able to do something that helps them build their livelihoods. And this is, I think this can only be done when you have a very good agreement in the country, stability, focus, and not a perpetual mood of politicking and critiquing. Because sometimes I feel that you know, our people get a bit harsh. You know, we go out, we campaign, we win elections. As soon as we win, you start critiquing us, and you're the one who has elected us. So you, as soon as you put me in, then tomorrow morning you start saying, no, you're not the right guy. And you're the one who made the decision. So we need to have everybody on deck.
When you have an MOU with your competitor in last election, you and the Governor Sakaja are the bosses of this country right now. Can you have an MOU with your number two then?
It depends on what you're looking at, because everybody has concepts, and I can tell you, even the things that we propose to do ourselves. If somebody else, like who was competing against us, has a viable idea that they can bring and work with, it doesn't have to be an MOU. There are different ways of engagement, and if somebody had a really good idea, so long as it aligns to the direction we want to go, we can bring it along. So I do not see the need to say, because you have not won, then you must be shut out of any possible thought process that is going to help the people of Nairobi or the people of Kenya in that case. So maybe this one at the national level is different, it's an MOU, but in our engagements, we meet these people, we see them, we hear them, they tell us, oh, here you're doing well, here maybe you could do this. We listen to them, and that is what is supposed to do, because the national resource, which is the capacity of every Kenyan, belongs to us, and we must use it, and we must be open to bringing in their contribution, even if they are not the ones who are in charge. It's us who are in charge. Yes.
Okay.
Victor, I think there is a point that we need to bring out very clearly.
Go ahead.
And the point is that in terms of, ideally, I said it's good to have a good opposition or a strong opposition and to keep the government in check. But, you know, we don't want, right now, if you look at the United States, the president and the Republicans do not see eye to eye to the Democrats and the other candidates. And so it looks like there are formation of two types of citizens. Citizens, the government has its own citizens, and the opposition has its own citizens, for example, in the United States. And it is very, very bad and very polarized, and in fact, very toxic right now, that environment. We cannot have that here. We cannot have a very similar situation. Where here in Kenya, we have citizens for Raila Odinga and Azimio, and we have citizens for Kenya Kwanza and UDA. And what actually this thing is doing is really to neutralize that kind of environment so that every Kenyan feels that they are really citizens of Kenya and they belong to this country. The other thing is that I agree with his, with the good professor here that, of course, 60 years down the road, there are a lot of challenges. But also, let's give ourselves some credit.
Yes.
We are not where we were when Kenyatta was the president. We are not where we were when Moi was the president.
Right.
We are not where we were when Kibaki was the president.
Yes. Yes.
And we have made significant progress in the last 20 years from having a constitution that is vibrant and is working, to a devolution system that really recognizes our regions and has really spread out the resources of this country to the extent that I was telling you right now, in Mandere, where I could brag and say that we are actually leading in terms of delivery to the aspirations of devolution, that we are probably the happiest county as a region. And so really this is an equalizer that Kenya has really achieved right now, where every citizen feels that they are part of this country. And what the president and Raila have done is a step forward, is pushing the same agenda, so that at some point in the future, we will have, all the institutions that are listed in the NATCO report are going to be vibrant and more mature. The things that have been listed, very legit,
right,
including, refusal of people going to, when they're supposed to be going to court, they're not going there. The corruption issues, our Gen Z problems. These are very legitimate problems. Let me just finish on the issue of the youth. Okay. The youth have been resenting against this government. Their backbone and pillar was Raila Odinga himself and the UDA. That's where they were finding hope as an opposition, right? Now, by bringing these things together, it looks like they have listened to the grievances of the youth.
Yes.
By including this, if you look at this, almost 3 of the points are things that are revolving around the youth and youth agenda. And so clearly, this is a process that is going to be addressing, and hopefully very soon, some of the challenges that we have.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break, and we come back. When you talk of youth banked on Raila Odinga, someone would ask, Raila Odinga became number 2 in the last election, and they picked the best president, the best candidate then, and we saw what happened yesterday in Kisii. Gusii Stadium, Raila Odinga was heckled and there was a walkout from the stadium. So what do you think is happening out there? We are taking a break, but to come back, I have got 3 gentlemen. Dr. Richard Busire, University of Nairobi lecturer, School of Political Science. Dr. Ali Maalim, he's also the Deputy Governor of Mandera and our boss here in the county. We have to be very good in our best behavior, otherwise we may not have it so easy. Njoroge Muchiri, Deputy Governor of Nairobi. Our phone lines will be on, so talk to us. What do you think of the union, of the unity between President William Ruto and Honorable Raila Odinga? Our phone lines are 0716 10 33 01. 0716 10 33 01. Our lines will be on after this break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Welcome back. All right. So, as I said, our phone lines will be on shortly. 0716 10 33 01, 10 33 01. You can ask the 3 gentlemen any question, whether from whichever part of the country you're watching us from, because they're all leaders representing Kenya. Any decision they make affect all of us. No wonder we have that unity pact between the 2 gentlemen. Talk to us. 0716 10 33 01. Okay. So, let me ask you a question, Dr. Busire. So, what would be the secret magic stick that the 2 gentlemen are now wielding that none of us can see?
I would say this, Victor, that these are 2 politicians who are never politicians, self-interested. Self-interest. Self-interest is really what defines politics. And we often say politics, one theorist called Harold Laswell says politics is who gets what, when, and how. So in other words, you are looking for something in politics. Raila could be, is looking for something, I'm sure. Either for the moment or for the future. We might not lay our hands on exactly what Raila wants, but I could see that during the handshake with Mheshimiwa Kenyatta, His Excellency President Kenyatta, he realized that he got some support, some development projects, you know, along the lakeside and all that.
Can I cut you short? There's already a caller.
Sorry?
There's a caller already. Okay. Someone is calling.
Okay.
Good morning. This is Cheriot from Bomet. Cheriot, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you, my brother. What is your question or comment? Go ahead.
My comment is that I want to thank the three gentlemen who are in the studio.
Yes.
And these are significant men in the leadership in the country, and their views are also very key. My comment is that anything that is going to be good for the country, it does not matter from what source. It does not matter from which individual. But we want to have a Kenya which is going to be prosperous for us today, for us tomorrow, and for the future generation. So those leaders who have seen it fit to come together and be able to march forward on this political platform is completely welcome.
Thank you.
The only thing which I want maybe to put it plainly, very clear, is that the respective officers must be properly established according to the rule of law. And those who are given these positions must act in a way that reflects the sentiments of the people in the ground. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Those are two great points. Number one, it does not matter where it comes from. The most important thing is Kenyans are united, and again, the rule of law. Dr.
I would like to tell Cheriot that those are valid observations he has made. But I want to ask the question, who decides what's good for the people or for the country? Shall we entrust politicians who are self-interested to make a decision for the country? That is a question someone else can respond to. But what I'm trying to say also is citizens of the country are the sovereign. They have sovereignty defined in the Constitution. In August 2022, they made a decision and said it's Kenya Kwanza, and President Ruto is the president. His Excellency is the president. So why are we changing or subverting that will of the people to decide what is good for Kenya today? In fact, we're not at war. We have issues today. I appreciate DG Mushiri's comment on the youth issues.
Yes.
Youth unemployment. How do we deal with youth unemployment? A good education. Let them access education. TVET, education in secondary school. Government must invest in education of our children, as we do as parents, because we sacrifice everything to educate our children. So a good education. We also opportunities. Provide opportunities. Provide hope for the youth. What is being done today? For me, I believe that a good economy also, DG, as we work whether at county or even at national, a good economy, we have that experience from Kibaki's time. A good economy would generate employment. People would have something to do. But our economy is so low. Another point I wanted to raise is, what is the cost of credit?
What is the cost of credit?
What's the cost of credit? It's too expensive. They can't access credit. The programs we have on credit that are public do not give sufficient information, sufficient financing to the youth and to the rest of the business people in the country.
All right.
What about the cost of power?
Can I comment on that as well?
How are they going to reduce the cost of power, the cost of credit?
Let me also get a caller from Mombasa. Then I come to DG Mushiri. I'll come back to you. This is Isaac from Mombasa. Isaac, good morning.
Morning, too.
What is your question or comment?
My comment is,
yes,
there is too much opposition in Kenya.
Sorry, there's too much of what?
Opposition. There is too opposition in Kenya.
Okay.
Which makes the government not work the way it is supposed to work. There is too much opposition in Kenya, which makes the government not to work the way it is supposed to work.
Mm-hmm.
For example, let's pick on SHA. When you pick on SHA,
yes,
you feel it is partially working and partially not working. But everyone who is against the government is saying it is not working, so let it stop. My question is, when you took when you compare between SHA and NHIF,
mm-hmm.
you find that in NHIF registration is 7,000, while on SHA is 7 million, while on SHA is around 20 million.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say 50% of SHA is working and 50% of SHA is not working.
Okay.
You will find that the SHA will be helping around 10 million people.
Mm.
But when you come to NHIF, if it is working 100%, it is only 7 million people who are benefiting.
Okay. So what's the question? So what's the question,
so
Isaac?
My question is, should we, the Kenya, and it is not a question, it is a comment.
All right.
My comment is that we Kenyans should sometimes be positive with what the government is doing.
Thank you.
So that we can change this nation.
Thank you. You've heard from what he said. That's Isaac from
I've heard that, but before I go to Isaac, let me comment on Cheruiyot from Bomet, and I agree with him entirely that we must welcome and we should welcome input, constructive input that comes from any source within our republic, because everyone has a right to contribute to good governance and is a Kenyan. So I totally agree with him. And the fact that this memorandum of understanding is based on the NADCO report, which is a product of parliament, completely anchors that in law. So we are actually on the right track, and that is the right thing to do, and we need to follow through that. So that's one. On Isaac's comment from Mombasa, and before that, again, the economic growth that we are talking about. The other day, the Minister for Finance was talking about, for us to create jobs, our growth has to be around 7% going forward. Currently, we are around 4.8 is good, not where we should be, but it is the best in sub-Saharan Africa.
Yes.
So we are already on the right track. We are already going the right way, and that is what we need to be able to follow through. In terms of Isaac's comment that there is too much opposition, I agree with him. And this is what I said earlier. I said we go for elections, it's very heated. After we have finished elections, we start next day plotting on the guy who we have just elected. And I'm thinking, when do you allow the elected people to work? They should have time to work, they deliver, and what you do is keep a scorecard. You check, are they delivering on this? Are they delivering on that? Are they delivering on the other, as per their promises? And once you do that, then you're able to move. When you look at SHA, and I need to comment on this, I personally support the SHA program because it is universal health care. It is looking after all our people, not just a few, like NHIF, and he has given very good statistics. What challenge we have with SHA is the implementation process, because it is a huge transformation. Socializing people to know how it works, to register, to set up the systems, to set up the processes, that takes time. And when that doesn't work, people think or say SHA is not working. It's not correct. The process, if you are going to travel to Mombasa, and let's say you have a puncture in Voi, right? Do you now decide, I'm not going to go Mombasa again, I'm going to go to Kisumu? You fix the car and continue, isn't it? So if there is an issue, if there is a challenge, and there may be some that are operational in nature that are coming up with SHA, we fix those and we move forward. SHA is a program that each one of us should support and ensure that it works and works for everybody. Then we don't have to get into all these fundraisings and all that we do to help people, and we can't cover all of them. But when you have a program like this, it covers everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Before you come in, Dr. Let's also pick another guy from Busia, Moniki, then you respond to that. Moniki, good morning.
Morning to you. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How is the border town of Busia?
The border town is doing fine.
Very good. What's your question or comment?
I think my comment is,
yes,
Yeah, because now currently the government of Kenya, as we saw recently, Ruto and Raila came together. Actually, this was not the right time for them to come together, because I think in Kenya we need to formalize a law where after election we do these formations of the government. If there is any government that is ready to merge them, and then because the priority is not for them to come together. The priority is now for Ruto and to look on the things that are criminalizing. For example, SHA is not working. How can it run? President Ruto has been saying the economy is right, but you don't see money in the people's pocket. How can money come to the people's pocket? Because that is the key. That's the most important thing for the government, that to make the lives of people to run. So the problem that we have in Kenya is not the coalition. The problem that we have in Kenya is about leadership. We have been getting wrong leaders, and that is why we have this problem. So my question, I want to ask maybe the DG Nairobi.
Yes.
My question is, he has said it was the right time for them to come. But my question is, does he see, is it a priority? Or is it a priority for them to come now? Or what is the priority for the Kenyans?
Thank you so much. I think, to be fair to him, is that a very, in 1 minute, if you can, so that I go to Daktari.
Yes.
Is it a priority for them? Because that is directly directed to you.
Development is a priority, and like quoting Cheruiyot again, right. Input from every Kenyan who can make a contribution is welcome. If you look at the track record of Raila, you've just said that this is the fourth handshake.
Yes.
It means he has something to contribute. And I think the president, in his wisdom, figured that he needs to make sure that he doesn't let that ability or that contribution stay out of development programs that we are running. So I think it is the right time for this to happen, and I think the time that we have between now and the next elections, we should see a very big difference when these two gentlemen and their teams work together.
Thank you. Dr.
Victor, I think I have heard Isaac, and on Schiff and Shah, of course there is a lot of noise out there in the country in terms of saying that this doesn't work and NHIF was good and all that. But what we must know is that change is very uncomfortable. People don't like change. And they will only appreciate when it takes foot, when it really takes the right direction. All these things is because of the fact that we are so used to NHIF. NHIF was not optimal in any way, shape, or form. Of course, it was something that was there, but Kenyans were suffering during the time that we have had NHIF. This, as the DG said, is a universal healthcare, and I think it has a lot more benefit for Kenyans than NHIF will have. And I think I ask Kenyans and urge them to register for this thing, give it time, so that we can start seeing the benefit.
Okay.
On the, before on Mwaniki's, I think, our problem...
Another caller?
Yeah.
Before she hangs.
Yes.
Chelagat from Eldoret. You'll take on that.
Yes.
Chelagat, good morning.
Morning.
Go ahead. What is the question or comment?
Nasikia vile mjadala inavyoendelea.
Yes.
Na kuungana kwa Raila na Brexit sio si mbaya. Hiyo ni kuonyesha kwamba yes.
Kuonyesha kwamba?
Ni kuonyesha yani ni Kenya inaendelea kukomaa. Nimesikia Mr. Bosire anasema ni kwa nini, na anasema hakukuwa na shida, na tuliona shida. Tuliona watu wanaingia parliament.
Yeah, that's okay.
Chelagat, all right. Amesema hana shida.
But Moniki said that our problem is leadership.
Yes.
It is very interesting. Ideally, there is no time that we have said during Uhuru's time, Kibaki's time, whatever's time, there is no one time that we have said, we have the right leadership right now. I think this is the way we're going to go. Every incumbent must be criticized. And of course, they are set a lot of weaknesses. But what we have to work with, what we have right now, because this is a government and leadership that is legitimate, that was given the mandate by the people. When Dr. Baraza said that who is supposed to, said who is supposed to dictate, who is supposed to give directions. Of course, the current leadership is supposed to give directions, Dr. because they have been given the mandate to lead the country and to guide the country. And coming together itself is a leadership decision that they were mandated to do. How they do it, when they should do it, no individual can dictate it. It's up to their calling. And as I said, we're all leaders. I am the Deputy Governor of Mandera. He's the Deputy Governor of Nairobi. And we believe that the mandate we have been given by the people to us is to deliver to them. And we believe that we will be doing our best possible strategies and skills to ensure that we deliver to our people. But more importantly, in terms of what is just happening, which has brought about this debate, there are three key things that we need to look at. Number one, if you look at personal gains or political gains, what is in it for Raila? Raila Odinga is an elderly statesman right now. I don't think his possibility of going into elections for a sixth term as an 80-year-old man is fading very quickly. One of the best ways for him is right now to align himself with the government so that he remains relevant, so that he leaves legacy, and so that he can coach people to take over from him. Ideally, that's what we are looking at. For William Ruto, he's a sitting president. He has a lot of threats. And one of the biggest threats is Raila himself and ODM and Azimio. So how do you neutralize or reduce that threat? Hold on, let me finish.
And that is the point.
Is to bring him on board. Okay. So that in his view, in his best view, is that for him to focus and reduce these noises around,
bring your enemy closer.
Is to bring the opposition,
quote unquote, your enemy, quote unquote, closer.
No, let me finish. What does that do? What does that do to Ruto? It is also counterproductive in a way, in the sense that because you have been pushing Raila over the years, now by bringing him in, you have legitimized a new power, parallel power, that you cannot do without it. So essentially now, Raila is a far better place than he was yesterday, because he has been recognized, he has been legitimized. And then the third factor is the Gachagua-Kalonzo axis, which now really will be weakened because of this coalition. So I think that's
that's an interesting way of looking at it.
Let me start there. Because we of course, there is a point when we say we bring leadership together and we govern, become more stronger, more focused, and all those things are important. For me, I want to look at beyond the politics. How does this change the lives of Kenyans? For me, that's the greatest challenge. And I agree with DG here, Mandera, when he says, there is politics and the political interest side, and he has identified them clearly. There is also, to make it very clearly, why now? Why was the handshake before? Because Gachagua is exited.
Yes.
Now the Murima has left the Mutandao. Now we have to get a replacement to provide support for the government. It is again politics. How do we unite the country when one person, one community, let me say generally as a community, let me say generally, one community leaves, then another community replaces. And this is not new in our country. This is not new in our country.
As you wind up, let me ask you this question.
These two communities.
Can you answer this question in 30 seconds?
Yeah.
What should you expect moving forward? People say that Raila Odinga probably might just bolt out. History has been there before.
Raila is not bolting out. I don't think Raila is bolting out. You watch the space. You see. You be prepared. It may be him or someone else. It may be him or someone else. Let me finish this point, please. Let me finish this point. I wanted to say.
Your 30 seconds is coming up.
Yes. Why did we rush? I want to go to the SHA. Please, just let me make a comment on the SHA before I forget. SHA was not an emergency. SHA was a transition from NHIF to SHA. Does it mean we lack experts who could have helped us to seamlessly transition to SHA? The only thing that was done best is for us to be taxed more. We are now paying much more to SHA than NHIF, and yet this system is not working. Can you anyone explain? The auditor general revealed the other day. Are we throwing that under the carpet? They said there are issues. The money is not going to where it's supposed to go.
Thank you. I want to close, but before then, you know, these two gentlemen are here, and I want Kenyans to understand, again, very quickly. I started by asking you a question, DG. What is so good in Mandera that would stop me from going to County X and travel all the way to Mandera for 3 days, 4 days, 4 nights? You know, what's so good in Mandera?
You know, Mandera...
Under your leadership.
Yes. You know, we have, of course, at the level of leadership and the devolution, we have a lot to show for as a county. We've had a 10-year tenure under one governor, and the currently our leadership is one that has actually continued with the previous government. And we have really come from nearly 0 to something close to 8% in terms of the development that we have achieved. Not only that in terms of governance and devolution, but by the sheer fact that we are at the center of action for a whole different region called the Horn of Africa. You know, on this side we have Addis Ababa and Ethiopia. On this side we have Mogadishu and of course Somalia, Nairobi to our south. On the north we have Djibouti, which is not very far. So I think what Kenya needs to see is the economic opportunity that there is in Mandera in terms of investment that Kenyans should really take advantage of, because on the other side is just you know, the Arabian Sea, you know, Yemen and all these other countries. And I think Kenyans, if they really want very serious, if we really want to move forward in terms of private investment, I think that's where Kenyans should start thinking about.
Very fast. The issue of ID and vetting, it came out again during the burial of the late former IBC chair, of Fletcher Bukati. What do you make of that?
Well, you know, Kenya has to be...
I'm asking because Mandera borders...
Good point. And of course, we have a whole 2 borders. Both sides are the Somali communities, the Kenyan Somalis, the Somalis of Somalia, and the Kenyan Somalis. And yes, I agree, identically, you know, physically we look alike, but there are many ways of identifying who is Kenya and who is not. And I think over the years since independence, this issue of marginalizing Kenyans in the name of extra vetting because non-Kenyans might take a Kenyan identity is neither here nor there. What the president did is that, because Mandera is not the only border in this country. We have Namanga, we have Busia. So do you support the vetting process? Of course, this is one of the, if you ask me, after independence, this is the second independence for Northern Kenya, extra vetting. Because our youths have suffered, our women have suffered, and you know, you will find young men and women who completed secondary school 5-10 years ago that are not able to travel to Nairobi because they do not have identity. They can't go to universities.
Let's get from our boss in the city. The first question I want to ask you, the president formed a commission to look at the, you know, the whole set of Nairobi River. The rains have come today. And I'm so sure in the next 2-3 days, you're going to get lots of complaints from Kenyans and Nairobians to be specific. What are you doing about this? What's happening around that program?
First of all, the program is already kicked off. The Nairobi Rivers Commission, under the Nairobi Rivers Commission, we've cleaned up along the rivers in terms of taking off the people who had encroached on the riparian land. And we also have a program of climate works that is cleaning up the Ngong River. And we have a very elaborate program of redeveloping these spaces to have walkways, places where people can sit and rest, and actually what we call non-motorized walkways, instead of using matatus and motorbikes and all that. So that program is going on. It's actually very well supported, and even His Excellency the President is very much part of it. And today he's going to be launching that program very significantly in one of the sections in the river.
So the program is launched today?
Yes. Some work that has been done is going to be launched today, and the rest of the program continues. And that is very key to transformation of Nairobi, because once you transform the Nairobi rivers, you know Nairobi has a lot of rivers through it. So you transform all the Nairobi Nairobi Rivers Basin, you basically transformed Nairobi.
Yeah.
And then we have, of course, in the county, we have the school feeding program that has been going on. We have markets that we are building, again, with the support of the national government. We are building stadia. We have brought additional water into the county. And we have revitalized our healthcare systems. Many programs have been going on. There are many things that we have been doing, and we are able to deliver this and all this under the leadership of His Excellency Governor Sakaja.
Thank you. You know what, gentlemen, if you wanted to talk about matters to do with governance, I'm so sure we would have talked about this until 10 a.m. But we have to stop at that point. Daktari, thank you so much for giving us your insight. Time imeisha.
Okay.
Director Nasema, we have to go. All right. Dr. Richard Busile, who is a lecturer of University of Nairobi School of Political Science, joining me on set. Thank you so much for joining us. He's always been a regular guest on the show. Thank you for coming. And Dr. Ali Maalim, Deputy Governor of Mandera County. Asante. I think I'll have to visit Mandera one of these
days. You are welcome.
Asante sana.
All of you.
Take me along.
Thank you so much.
Including DG and
I'll come with the DG Bushiri as well. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
My name is Victor Lo. Have a good morning. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.